even if you're not the spouse that is driving the investments, it's really important that you understand what your spouse is going through.
If you're not conscious about your investment strategy, you won't end up where you want to be, not financially or as a human. On this show, we interview highly successful investors and share how they overcame limitations to become unstoppable forces of success. If you're ready to learn what it is to be a conscious investor so you can end up where you want, keep listening.
Welcome back, Conscious Investor. If you are watching over on YouTube, you are noticing something different. And hopefully everybody listening on the podcast platforms are also noticing something different. The difference is hopefully that in your ears, we have a clearer audio quality taking place. If you're over on YouTube, you're getting a picture of, Julie trying to really improve and level up the audio quality of the show to support you, which means I'm wearing awkward headphones. I really don't like doing that, but you got to take one for the team because you really want it crisp and clean in the ears. Before I go off on one of those rabbit trails, let's just talk. This is going to be about 3 keys to investing as a couple and staying together. I just got back from attending the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, otherwise known as RubeCon, that my friend Dustin Heiner put on. It took place in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was phenomenal. Seriously, I know I always say that was the best event I've ever attended, but seriously, absolutely phenomenal event. I highly recommend that you are marking your calendars for March of next year. I believe it's the weekend of the 13th. It's going to be held in St. Louis. If you are investing, you need to be there, especially if you were investing in the podcast together. Because Conscious Investor, I know your spouse, you love your family, you're committed and sometimes we experience investing as a couple. It's just reality. I mean, being, in a committed relationship is already going to present some natural challenges. Throw in the investing part of things, and now we can have some challenges. So I want to go through those challenges that we face as couples, and I want to offer some support, some things that have worked really well for Steve and I. And yeah, I suppose I should have just said, hey, Steve, come join me on this episode. Don't worry, I will have him on soon. We have some other content we're working on that I think that you're going to enjoy and appreciate. Before we jump in, I've already given a shout out to the RubeCon event. It was so well organized, so much information. Not only did we have keynotes taking place in the morning and in the afternoon, actually in the middle of the day, midday, but throughout the day, there were 3 different breakout rooms. And so during, say every 45 minutes, you would have 3 different options of places to go and learn on very specific niched down topics. And so I really liked the amount of information that you could gain that was very much a la carte. What do I need to serve myself? And Dustin and his team did such a phenomenal job of bringing in a variety of speakers. I can't imagine there was a single investor that felt like they were slighted or missing out in any capacity. So anyway, mark your calendars. We'll put something down in the show notes. I think that we might have some type of code that will save you a little bit of money off of the pre-registration or early bird registration. So make sure you go there. I'm going to be there next year, and more than likely, Steve will be joining me. And really, that was, before I take that one step further, I wanted to give a shout out. I have not checked the ratings and reviews. We released a deal recently and we had RubeCon. There's just been a lot taking place. And so, violin recitals, our son, who's in the Civil Air Patrol, they had an open house. It's just that time of year. If you're, parents of kids of any age, you understand certain times of year, there is more thrown at you and it all comes at once. And it's such a gift, such a beautiful opportunity. So I've neglected to say thanks to those of you who have left honest ratings and reviews. And I just want to give a shout out to SG Properties. They say, great podcast. The Conscious Investor with Julie Holly is a great podcast. She has wonderful insight, knowledgeable guests, and keeps things fun. Well, you know what, SG Properties, to keep things fun, I feel like I just need to start beatboxing and doing some rap because of how I'm holding this mic and these headphones. So we'll just maybe I won't do that, but I am thinking it in my head because I think it'd be fun and funny all at the same time. But hey, let's get into the heart of this topic. Let's dive into 3 keys to investing as a couple and staying together. Yeah, staying together. Unfortunately, couples in relationships dissolve for a variety of reasons, and we don't want investing to be one of those reasons that is dissolving a relationship. And there can be times where one spouse is more obsessed about something than the other, and that can create this tension or this little gap in the relationship. So the first thing I'm going to suggest, right, as we're investing together, is to attend events together. A lot of times you will have one of the spouses represented at an event. And with that, one spouse is getting fed and nurtured. They're growing their knowledge base and such. And that is fantastic. And that's going to serve the family very, very well. However, there's this disconnect. So this last event, and Steve comes to, I kind of think every other event he comes to with me. And he is also a real estate investor. So, that's kind of interesting. We invest in different ways. I'm so happy he joined me at RubeCon. And here are the reasons why we benefit when we attend events together. We meet the same people. So when I come home, it's not, oh my gosh, I met the most exceptional people. These people supported me. They helped me level up. They helped me increase my knowledge and awareness. And there's a disconnect because now your spouse doesn't know. When you attend together, you both meet the same people and you can both have that same reference point. And oftentimes you can have those shared conversations and level up together. Even if you are not the active investor of your family, you're not the one that is leading the charge, if you will, you are going to gain so much by being around the people that your spouse is around. I can think of a couple of moments where this took place. And one was actually at the Pay It Forward event that I emceed last month in April in Denver, Colorado. And one of my friends, his spouse came and she nearly left. She's a self-proclaimed introvert. And she was uncomfortable in a room of people she did not know and was not familiar with. And he had already been very networked out within this group of people. He knew a lot of the people already and was very comfortable. But what took place, because she came, she chose to embrace the discomfort. She chose to stay put. It's like day and night difference. Now she and I are good friends. Now she has all these other friends in the community and she's understanding his world more. And that means that when we understand each other's spaces and we understand the people operating within those spaces and we have those shared relationships, we're able to offer our spouse or partner another deeper perspective. Now it's not just, oh, we're talking about syndication and I have no idea what you're talking about, or we're talking about the financing, or we're talking about maybe partnering with this person. Now you have something to bring to the table. Even if you're the spouse that's, more, just on the sidelines cheering on, now you have a perspective that you can add and speak into your spouse's life. That is absolutely an extraordinary gift because you know each other extremely well, better than anyone else is going to know you. And you're going to understand how your spouse is going to respond within that potential partnership. Okay. So that's just one of the many reasons. But so also to go on to the next reason to interrupt myself and go on, right? Is that, especially at this last event at RubeCon, Steve and I were both doing this, just quantum leap on the personal growth and development side of things. By nature of the event, it really focused so much, not just on the mechanics, but very much on the mindset and the thinking that solid investors have. So there's a very hearty balance. And we had this opportunity together to have our own quantum leaps on the personal growth and development spectrum. And so it's one thing when you go and you experience something that is really changing and transformative and you do it on your own. It's another thing when you do it together. So I always think of it like this. If I go, and I don't know if you went to summer camp as a kid, but I loved going to summer camp. I also had to pay my own way and earn the ticket and everything like that, right? But it was worth it. And just in that concentrated 5 days of being at summer camp, I remember growing so much. And I'd come home and it's like, oh, wait, I've changed, but the scenery here and the people at home are the same. So when we go to events, even if it's not a Tony Robbins event that's intended to really catapult your personal development, if it's a solid event, it should invoke change in your life. You should have that internal change as well as that external knowledge, understanding. So maybe I should say your heart and mind alignment, right? And so in doing that, having that shared experience, now you're heading home at the same wavelength, on the same page, understanding like, whoa, I'm not overselling this. This was phenomenal. I'm so glad that we were able to share this together. Now, Steve and I grew in different ways, but we could both recognize and understand that, wow, there was a big change that took place in thinking and perspective and goals. Everything was just like catapulted. It was phenomenal. So the first thing is, right, attend events together. You're going to get to know the same people. You're going to have a shared experience. And that shared experience in and of itself really helps solidify that you are in it together. And it's really important that we are not in this alone, that it's not just the burden of responsibility of investing is just put on one spouse. And that leads into the second point really well. Great segue into having love maps. This is not something that I came up with. Dr. Gottman of the Gottman Institute, who focuses on marriage, he has a book called The 7 Principles for Making Marriage. I'm going to have to look up the title of it. I always butcher it. I usually have the book somewhere around me. I don't at the moment. Steve and I both read this book together. Phenomenal book. Buy 2 copies. You have some great exercises to stimulate wonderful conversation. Not the kind of conversation that's going to invoke arguments, but the kind of conversation that's going to invoke connectedness. And in this, he suggests that we keep current love maps. And by that, these waypoints, these markers of actually knowing where our spouse is and physically, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, creatively, relationally with other people in their lives, like really understanding what is taking place in our spouse's life. And when we attend events together, we're able to really strengthen those love maps because now we have waypoints that we can reference back to. Oh yeah, remember when we were at the event or we saw the potential, that spark, that moment of opportunity come to light in life in our partner. And so we could reference that. Oh, I remember when at the event. And so when we keep those consistent love maps, it allows us to reduce the tension gaps. Now that's me. That's not Gottman speaking. Okay. Read the book for sure. But that's my thing is it's going to reduce how many gaps that we have in our relationship because we're keeping current with what is actually taking place, what's meaningful, and what's shifting the needle in our spouse's life. This is really, really critical. So that means that even if you're not the spouse that is driving the investments, it's really important that you understand what your spouse is going through? What does it look like to have your LOI rejected after in its number 167? What does it feel like for your spouse when they have their offer accepted on their next, small multifamily purchase? What does it look like as your spouse is trying to figure out some creative ways to finance the next purchase? Just simply being aware of what your spouse is going through is going to change the spectrum of everything in a relationship. Now, this doesn't just happen to be about investing, right? This has to do with everything. And so it goes both ways. Of course it does. So we want to make sure that we also understand, hey, you understand what it's like on the home front. You understand what it's like from my perspective of, parenting teens or of having 3 kids and a 1-month-old, right? Like we need to keep those love maps current. And the third key to investing as a couple and staying together is to create your criteria. Really understanding, and this is really very much multifaceted. So hang with me. It's not complicated. It's things that you already know and probably do, but it's just when we raise our level of awareness, we are able to see things with really refined clarity that helps us make better progress. So when we have this clear criteria, it's this criteria of roles and responsibilities, not in the typical marriage sense of things, but hey, I know that I can, go out and I can invest in an asset and I can secure the loan and I can close on this deal on behalf of my family in our LLC or whatever entity that we are investing through. I know that I have clearance to do that. So we already have shared knowledge on what we're doing, even if one spouse isn't in the weeds on it. There's a knowledge. We have love maps taking place. So my spouse knows what's taking place. It's not like out of the blue, like, oh, hey, by the way, I just bought something for us. They're clear love maps. So we know that things are being tracked. But then there is that opportunity to move forward with confidence because you know the criteria that you've established and you know that you are able. It is truly representing your family investment criteria and plan. So there's more on that criteria, and that is, what are your goals? Being clear together as a couple as to what are our investment goals so that when you are investing, you are truly representing what those investments are. I want to intentionally overemphasize that it's so important that the burden of responsibility is not just placed on a single spouse. So I was a stay-at-home mom and a homeschool mom when our children were really young. And I'm going to approach this from this perspective. It's nice and helpful and affirming and reassuring while I was in that position to have Steve understand that I'm exhausted at the end of the day and not just it's an excuse, but to understand where all of the energy pulls were throughout the day and for him to be able to come and nurture me in different capacities. Maybe a lot of times that was helping with dinner or helping with cleanup or helping with the kids in different capacities, right? Like really leveling up. We want to be able to do the same for our spouse who is on the investing side. So I want to encourage you, whatever role you are playing in your family dynamics, it doesn't mean that you are disconnected from whatever your spouse is doing. It just simply means they're the one point person calling the shots, driving the mission, but you're there, you're with them, and you're able to support them along the way and offer that different level of support. So that might simply look like reassurance, encouragement. Wow, I know that deal didn't go through, but I know that because you're keeping good love maps, but I do know that you've been on this. You've created the relationships with the brokers and the wholesalers. You're really going after those, this direct to sale seller. it's going to come about. You're going through all the right motions. Don't quit. Don't give up. Now, if you're not keeping current love maps, you're not going to know that your spouse is talking to brokers, that your spouse is talking to wholesalers and networking, and that your spouse is soliciting directly to sellers. So do you see that? It's like staying current and understanding the scenery and the lay of the land so that you can encourage specifically. I know back when I was, staying at home with our kids, and Steve was full-time residential real estate sales in California, I did a lot of handwritten notes. I wrote so many handwritten letters, you guys. My hand would get tired. But that was one way I was able to support his efforts in what he was doing, right? And that was so long before all of the services that you can get now. Now you can find all these services that, look like handwritten notes that even are folded in specific ways. It's amazing the type of mailers that are out there these days. So I think that these three things are foundational. They're very simple, so simple. And what we're talking about, right? Let me go back through those three things, and I'm going to add one detail. Attending events together, keeping current love maps, and creating your criteria. I also want to just throw in with that attending events together. I try as often as I can with my travel schedule. I'm not always able to make the local real estate meetup groups, but I remember there is one real estate meetup group that I attended down in Coeur d'Alene, and there was a husband and wife there. And she doesn't come every single time, but she comes even with their little one. Okay. And so it's really important that we keep those, like, it doesn't have to be traveling to an event that is far away. It could be an event that is local in your area. It could be that real estate meetup group that meets once a month. Go. You don't have to go. It's only once a month. It's not even every week or every other week. Once a month, you can make a commitment to show up with your spouse and to support and encourage them in that capacity. Make it a date night. If you've got little kids and you're staying at home with your kids, make it a date night. Go out to dinner first, get a babysitter, and allow that to be the support that you offer. Investing as a couple is so much fun. Being able to talk strategy with Steve, we invest in complementary ways. I'm more long-term, he's short-term, meaning I'm in syndications and he's in small multi. And it's beautiful to see how that works and that we understand each other's worlds. And I want to encourage you that regardless of which hat you wear, if you're the driver on the investing side in your relationship, or if you're more I'm the supportive person, please make sure, attend events together, keep those love maps current in your investing as well as all parts of your relationship, and create that clear criteria so that either of you can take that confident next step that you need to take to move your goals forward. That's what I got for you today, Conscious Investor. I hope that this encourages you and supports you. And always, if you're not already on our investing list, part of our investor club, please make sure that you schedule a time to talk with me directly so that we can understand what your investment goals are and that you do have access then to our investments that we have to offer, because we operate in the 506B arena. We are not 506C, where we're going to go out and advertise to a bunch of strangers. We do have one of those in our portfolio, full disclosure. All that to say, 506B means we are not advertising what we have to offer. Our offers are only to the investors who are in our investor club, who we know what their goals are, and we are confident that we can, help them reach and exceed those goals. So make sure that you schedule a time to talk. Now, I have some disappointing news. I know it shouldn't end on disappointment. I am maxed out on the coaching side of things right now. So if you are looking for a coach, I definitely know who to send you to. So if you're on that fence, time to meet with you to look into coaching, just send me an email julie@julieholly.com. Send me an email and I will connect you up with one of the most phenomenal coaches who just transformed my life. Because coaching changes your life. It collapses your timelines and it allows you to do things that you otherwise would have never believed that you could have achieved or even proceeded on the path of. All right, that's what I've got for you. Until next time, Conscious Investor, you are amazing and I'm grateful for you. Live big, love bigger, and do great things. What's the big deal about investing in apartments? Why is it better than investing in a slew of single-family homes? I've compiled a lot of information on why investing in a multifamily, also known as apartments, will help you reach your investment goals. Head over to 3keysinvestments.com and download the Why Invest in Multifamily guide today.